This is a beginning point. This is the beginning of the rest of my life. I got the meaning, and I got to write it down, because I don't want to forget it.
Just win, baby.
I don't want to forget it either. Welcome back. We got football in 2 days, probably one day after I post this. Gold Jacket Podcast, we're back. Proudly sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Wow, that was stumbling. Underdog has it all. Daily, weekly, season-long best ball tournaments. They are literally happening 365 days a year. Plus, you can play the pick and prop games. You get 5 picks right, and you can win 20 times your money. Head on over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code TNFF. You will get a $100 deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. You can get 5 picks right on this Thursday nighter on the Bills-Rams. Slap some pickles. Josh Allen rushing touchdown. That's as good as gold. To get 4 more right, and there's 20 times your money. I'm your host, Gymnastic. You can find me on Twitter at GoldJacket Quarterbacks, at GoldJack QBs. I'm joined, as always, by the other host of the show, Connor Donald. He can be found at Twitter. Will I mess up his Twitter handle? Probably not. It's at Connor10. That's TEN, not 1 and 0. We're proud members of the True North Fantasy Football Network. Make sure to check out the entire network on Twitter at True North FFB. On YouTube, if you're watching us, awesome. I am a mess. It's at TNFF Network and on the internet at TrueNorthFFB.com. Tonight, we're looking ahead to week 1. And what we hopefully want to see unfold in the fantasy landscape for a little bit more clarity. Not all the games, because that would be a ridiculous 5 hours, but just a few situations that basically I want clarity on. But first, Connor, what is happening?
Well, yeah, you kind of alluded to Buffalo and the Rams, and when you consider that they have the third highest over-under of the week, yeah, you can probably bet on a lot of things and get your money back in that matchup. No doubt, but I am so pumped that week 1 is finally here. I am so pumped that we finally get to actually talk about football instead of breaking down rosters and talking about hypotheticals. Now it's here, and now we all just get to fight and argue over if this was a 1-week wonder or if this is a true thing or so on and so forth. I'm pumped. I can't believe it felt like such a long off season, and now we're finally here. So like you said, we're going to talk about some ambiguous situations. We are going to try and talk. I want to talk about some of the matchups that have some of the highest over-under numbers, because those are the ones where we might get some clarity on these situations. But otherwise, I mean, let's kick it off, man. Let's get this going. Let's talk about those Bills and those Rams. Like I alluded to, they do have the third highest over-under. Only 2 games surpassed them in the over-under department this week, and that is Kansas City and Arizona, and the LA Chargers and Kansas City Chiefs. So they have an over-under of 52. We are looking at a situation where Allen Robinson will potentially have some major relevancy, finally, by far the best quarterback with an elbow injury or without an elbow injury. Matthew Stafford is his best quarterback he's ever had.
Ever. Who was his quarterback in college? Do you know?
Oh, man, I've heard.
I didn't say his real name behind the scenes, but I was just slapping it around there. But do you know who his real quarterback was in college? His best quarterback was in college?
You've said it before, and I completely forget.
It's Christian Hackenberg.
Christian Hackenberg. Oh, my goodness. So Matthew Stafford, whatever his elbow issue is, he's still the best quarterback. It doesn't even matter. And then Buffalo. So let's talk about Buffalo for 2 seconds, because we want to talk about an ambiguous situation. Let's talk about 2. So the running back. We have stood firm in a group chat all offseason about Devin Singletary and a split between Singletary and James Cook. But now there was a lot of rumors and stuff flying around about Zach Moss in camp and that he might be a part of this. Do you think this situation's ever going to clear up this year? This feels like one of those running back rooms that with Byron and injury, it's going to be a mess all season.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be a mess. That Zach Moss news is good news to me. As we were going over that roster pre-show, I said, "Ooh, Zach Moss, I was on this roster. I had no idea I didn't trim that one up. He slipped by through the cracks, but I didn't trim him up. So if you need a guy, hit me up in DFL 005 West."
Let's face it, the lowest valued RB there is Zach Moss.
Is Zach Moss.
Let's
Oh yeah,
not,
no,
let's
it's
not.
Okay, listen, if you really want my take on this, I'm buying Singletary on the cheap. Singletary for singles all day. I'm selling James Cook on the high before he even plays a snap because this community is going gangbusters over him. Do you remember the last guy last year that everybody was going nuts for? It wasn't an RB, but like everybody was just like, "This guy's amazing," and I was
I've
like,
heard
"This
that.
guy kind of sucks."
I've
And
seen and heard story with running backs before. Like, let's talk about Trey Sermon. Let's talk about there's been a
I
lot of
missed
other
on him.
guys who've been
I missed on
been
him.
there, done that.
Yeah, I missed on him. But like it was Terrence Marshall, right? Like so like I don't know, man. Like I don't know. I'm off on James Cook. I'm selling him high. So like I said, I would even be like selling out of James Cook to get into Singletary plus myself, but that is definitely a backfield that I want to see some clarity on for sure. As James Cook, like I said, I'm not even really sure he was the best running back coming out of that program this year. Oh shit. But Devin Singletary had quite a nice little run there at the end. So what are you thinking about this?
Yeah, to me, I can't get off of Singletary that easily after seeing the run that he made. Like, I understand in the group chat we're in, the discussion is had like Devin Singletary isn't good at the position, but every time they have called upon Devin Singletary, he's been good. So whether or not you like it, he's a part of a really good offense that opens up the field for him and makes him look better than he supposedly is. To me, I agree with you. I've said it a million times before. I did not like the tape on James Cook. I think he's a pass catching back and almost exclusively a pass catching back. I did not like the way he ran the ball, and he had a pretty good offense to run with at Georgia. So to me, I mean, when you look at a startup draft, like I look at the DLF's ADP for last month, August, Devin Singletary's going 28 and James Cook is going 30. They're literally going side by side. They're going 7 picks apart overall.
Yeah, but I believe if you were drafting in a start, like in an established league,
it's different. If you're
if you're in an established league and it's a rookie draft, I guarantee you could flip James Cook.
The value is so different, I think, if you drafted him in a rookie draft, because I think the people who drafted him in a rookie draft have a higher value on him. And based on the look of, based on the landscape of a rookie draft, he looks a lot better against the rest of those rookies. So you have a really good opportunity to sell based on that. But I mean, to me, I don't think this is a backfield I want to be a part of. If you have Singletary and you get a couple good games, you sell him. If you have James Cook and you have an opportunity, you got people knocking on your door, you sell him. If you got Zach Moss and anybody wants him, you sell that man for a third,
bag
for
of
a
chips,
fourth, a bag of chips. That doesn't even matter.
Pringles, take them. Once you pop, can't stop.
What I'm more interested in, though, is their wide receiver 2 situation. When we talked the AFC East, I said it's Diggs or bust. I stand by Diggs or bust. I don't care that Isaiah McKenzie won the slot job. He's going to be on the field a lot. He's going to be on the field probably the most. First of all, people think he's going to be on the field for like almost every snap. No, they didn't pick up Jamison Crowder for Jamison Crowder to play the outside. He's not an outside wide receiver. So Jamison Crowder is going to get his looks, and Isaiah McKenzie might be used in like a Debo-esque type role, like a very cheap Debo role, because I know that there's been rumors that they want to use him out of the backfield and such. But more Gabriel Davis. I just sold him for 2023 first. Whew. And I would do that deal again and again and again. And if anybody came to me and I had Gabriel Davis and they gave me a 23 first, I would do it. I'm
yeah,
not
sexy.
sold on anybody being the guy behind Stephon Diggs. I'm still Diggs or bust. In that offense, it's Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, or bust. There's literally nothing else that I want that I can trust on a weekly basis. What's the ceiling on Gabe Davis? Everybody's sitting there and they're like, oh man, Gabe Davis, he's clearly the 2. What has been the ceiling on the number 2 wide receiver
Well,
in this offense?
4 touchdowns and a single. He outbundied it. That seems to be the ceiling.
Okay. So what is ceiling is like we're talking Mike
highest
Williams.
You've ever seen.
We're talking Mike Williams, like an extremely volatile red zone threat that you need touchdowns in order to actually have value.
You know what? Mike Williams is a pretty good comp to him, man. High-powered offense. The dude can throw up high-powered yardage, or he can throw up touchdowns. Can he do it together? Probably not. He has a wide receiver that's listen, I love Gabe Davis. That wasn't even shade at him. Like, I love Gabe. But like,
you wrote an article like years ago when he came out.
They both got established wide receiver ones behind them. The only difference is people think that Mike Williams is the alpha ascending over Keenan Allen. I don't see that. I see Keenan holding that until he says I won't leave, but that's another issue. If I get a 23 first, Connor, yeah, that's beautiful. I'm selling that 7 days to Sunday and eating pie on the way home all day. Like that's money. That's money. That's money. And I love Gabe Davis, but like I think his highest sell window, you saw it, was when he Al Bundy'd the world and everybody went gangbusters saying he's going to be the next ascendant. I do like the fact that they did not re-sign Sanders and let him go, considering, again, I've been on tape saying that I heard they brought in Sanders to work on parts of Gabe Davis's game that they wanted to learn from. So letting that go and trusting Gabe Davis a little bit more in that aspect, letting Beasley go and going with like Crowder. I'm not worried about Crowder. Isaiah McKenzie, you guys are going nuts for Isaiah McKenzie. No worries, man. But like, it's definitely a volatile guy. See, the difference between Josh Allen and this next quarterback that we're going to talk about when we bring up this next matchup after the Bills and the Rams is that quarterback can support 2 wide receivers, 2 number 1 wide receivers, and then have a boomer bust guy weekly. Just saying.
My thing with Gabe Davis is you're now back to back identical seasons from a yardage perspective, a receptions, a targets perspective, and everybody thinks that this guy is going to be the guy. And
you're never going to be the
guy. You're never going to be the guy. The guy is Stephon Diggs, who's going to go for 150 to 175 targets every single season for you. But the question is, like, Beasley passes on so many vacated targets over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, but
people are so bought into those targets are going to equate to fantasy value.
No, those targets
instantly.
are getting distributed between your James Cook, your James Cook,
Isaiah McKenzie, Jamison Crowder, Gabriel Davis. You're like, and at the end of the day, what is that? Man. Like, you vacate the targets of McKenzie of prior years, Emmanuel Sanders, Gabriel Davis. So let's vacate.
Gabe Davis can go for 12 touchdowns this year and go gangbusters.
But like
light the world on fire. But
the thing is,
like
definitely. But at the end of the day, you could be So you're looking at 250 vacated targets between 4 or 5 guys. So I mean, you spread it fairly evenly. Gabe 75. Davis might get to 100 targets. But that all depends. Like, Josh Allen spreads the ball around really well. There's only one person he focuses in on constantly, and that's Stephon Diggs. And that's why, to me, it was Stephon Diggs or bust.
And that's why he never produces. He can't support like my man Pat Mahomes, who can support a number 1 tight end and number 1 wide receiver.
But hold up, before we go there, we got one more this thing to talk about with the LA Rams, and that is the running back room in LA. I mean, we got a ton of ambiguous running back rooms that we got to talk about, but we're not going to get the chance to talk about them all tonight. But Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson. I get it. People are hyped about Cam Akers because, there's been this like Sean McVay's had this like alter ego personality. He comes out in one press conference talking up Henderson. Then he'll come out a day later, talk up Akers. Then he'll come out a day later and talk about how we have 2 number 1 running backs. No team can say that, or not many teams can say that. For fantasy, that is a massive no. If you're going to sit there and you're going to have this guy, your head coach, flip back and forth and back and forth, and some people say, "Oh, well, look at the playoffs and Cam Akers' usage."
Yeah,
Darrell Henderson was only healthy for the Super Bowl. We don't know what this backfield looks like with a 100% or whatever. Darrell Henderson's never going to be 100%. Let's face it. But we are never going to see. We don't know what a Cam Akers and a Darrell Henderson split truly looks like until we see week 1. These guys go.
I don't even think it's week 1. I really think it's going to be like week 4 when they're like 100% healthy, and like you get them rolling, and that's like if they both survive injuries week 1 through 3.
Unlikely, but yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about that little bit of a playoff run there with Cam Akers. Barring a 40-yard reception, did he go gangbusters? Like the world, like he looked good on a couple cuts. Don't get me wrong, but like he wasn't like. If that was your fantasy championship and you played him, you lost straight up. Besides a 40-yard catch, you lost. No. Like he had
pretty
one,
much, like he had 17
like 4 carries for 17 yards or something like that.
So against Arizona, he had 18 total touches for 95 yards. Against Tampa Bay, he had 27 total touches for 68. Against San Fran, he had 14 for 50, and in the Super Bowl against Cincinnati with a 57.6% snap share, he had 16 for 35.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's targets, or that's receptions and carries.
Yeah, see, I don't know, man. Like I know, like what sticks out to me was like one memorable 40-yard catch and run, and that wasn't even in the playoffs. I think that was like week 17, maybe 18.
No, you were. It had to be against Arizona because that was his 95-yard week. That was his biggest week.
Did he have one catch for 40 yards?
I don't see it right here. I see I see 1 reception, 17 carries, and 95 yards. That had to be the week.
Yeah, 1 reception. I guarantee that 1 reception was 40 yards. Yeah. Anyway, like besides that 1 40-yard reception, like he looked good and some cuts, but like didn't blow you out of the water. What's more disappointing to me was the fact that when he was down, they leaned more heavily on a Sony Michel, looked more involved than I thought he ever should have been. I don't know. Like I said, it'll probably be like week 4 by the time you see a true split. I'm hoping it's probably going to be like a 60-40, to be honest with you. But like that's me being.
But Cam Akers managers did not.
Oh, they're not expecting
for a 60-40 split. You drafted Cam Akers to be. Like the year before, like before he tore his Achilles, he was going like top 12. Now he's more like a back end RB2. Like his ADP has kind of settled. Actually, that's like August ADP for Cam Akers. He was settling in at 16. So, high end-ish RB2.
That's getting high, man.
But in a 60-40 split, that probably... You're not going to get return dividends, especially if you drafted him the year prior in a startup and you were drafting him as like a top 10 RB. Then you're definitely hurting. You're definitely hurting on that one.
You were like me with J.K. Dobbins.
Let me go back. August 2021. Oh, Cam Akers wasn't going that high, actually. Cam Akers was RB 36.
Rookie draft.
Yeah, RB, but that was I'll have to go way back. I'll have to do some digging. But like there was people who were so hyped. Like the hype was out of control last season. And now you're looking at this situation where it's an RB 16 and it's I don't know. I don't know if it returns. Like with Darrell Henderson, you can definitely get the return there because he's going right near RB 50. And if it's a 60-40 split, you're getting a guy who you might be able to trust on a matchup, a flex play. But Cam Akers, if you're drafting him RB16, like this is a guy that you are trusting you might have drafted him as your primary running back. Maybe potentially your second.
There's definitely leagues where I'm rolling with not purposefully, but it just made sense due to the trade. There's pretty big trades where like I'm rolling Cam Akers right now as like my RB2. And like I am absolutely terrified.
It's like you said, it's a tough one, and I think it's going to take a few weeks to really take shape. And if at that time, when you reach week 4, week 5, and things are taking shape and it turns into 60-40, it's a mess.
Here, I got a question for you. What would you take if you were a Cam Akers owner as a trade? To trade him away, what would it take for you?
Considering the investment you likely put into it, am I not wrong in saying you would need a 1 times first value for that? You can't take a second.
See,
no matter
I don't
how
know,
good
man.
the
I don't
RBs
know.
are next year,
I
don't think you can take a second.
So you're calling into sunken cost fallacy, which I try to tend to avoid, right? But like, do you have to take a first? That's my question.
You don't have to take a first, but I think like if you
what player would it
getting
take
a
for you?
first, you definitely
What player
have to
would
get
you
a player.
pivot to? What type of player? What tier of player?
I would take a tier 3 wide receiver.
Where's Joe Mixon in relation to Cam Akers for you?
Joe Mixon's light years ahead of Akers.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think that's close. But like, say, look at the wide receivers and let's talk tier 3. Like, I would probably take any rookie wide receiver at the top from last year. Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams. I don't think you'll get it. It's so tough because Akers owners, it's so hard to gauge them. I would take Jameson Williams in like a 2 or Jameson Williams in a 3.
I think you get that all day.
Or Jameson Williams in a 2 and you go Akers in a 3. Like I would do that for the upgrade of the pick and the wide receiver.
I think you get Williams in the 2, to be honest, for Akers.
Like if I look at the tier 3 based on ADP of wide receivers, you're looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marquise Brown, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Darnell Mooney, Treylon Burks, Michael Thomas, Jerry Jeudy, Allen Robinson, Amari Cooper, Devonta Smith, and Chris Olave. I would probably take the majority of those wide receivers plus some sort of swap of picks.
Oh, nice. I like it. Sorry for the deviation there. Moving ahead, I actually want to go a little bit off script here real quick before we dive into the AFC West team, which is the best team, the Chiefs. You mentioned Jerry Jeudy there real quick, and I want to know real quick with an ambiguous wide receiver room with a new quarterback, probably the best quarterback these two fellas have ever played with professionally, Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. How do you think this ends up shaking out with Danger Russ? Is he cooking? Who's his red zone weapon? Who's his go-to guy? What do you think?
Listen, Russ is going to cook no matter what. I think Russ is going to cook very well in this offense. So the latest reports are Courtland Sutton and Russell Wilson have this really great connection. They're doing extremely well together. He's looking his way a ton. I don't understand why it's all about one or the other. I think you should own both. Like there was always a debate of DK Metcalf always went way at the top. Tyler Lockett was always that undervalued guy, but he was super volatile because he gave you 6 or 7 really good weeks and the rest of it he busted. I don't think that Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton would be the same. I think you can trust them both. I think I would just take the cheaper option, which at this point, the cheaper
we've
option.
Always been taking the cheaper option.
The cheaper Courtland Sutton's going wide receiver 21. And Jerry Jeudy's going wide receiver 32, and they are separated by
21 and 32 now. Holy
and
shit.
Courtland Sutton that would be pick 74. Jerry Jeudy would be pick 91. I'm gonna take Jerry Jeudy. We've seen the sustainability of 2 wide receivers. The crappy thing has always been Tyler Lockett. You never knew what week you could play him. You play him one week, he busts. The next week he blows up, but you sat him on the bench. You just could never trust it. I think you can trust both of these guys. I think you can trust this offense as a whole a lot more than you could trust last year's Seattle Seahawks offense. I don't know where you are, but I've always been in on Judy. I've always been in on
I've
Judy,
always been the
so
cheaper guy. I didn't realize it was that. Like, even when I drafted Sutton, Judy went next. Or fucking if
I think this is one of those situations where it's like, okay, whoever, we've talked about it in previous episodes, whoever goes first, I'm going to take I'm going to take that guy next, because that's how close
exactly
they
how
are
I usually
in the
do it.
minds of fantasy owners. That's exactly how they think. Is once this guy goes, I know that the next guy's going to go really quick. I want to get a piece of that offense. I think it's just all the mindset of getting a piece of the offense, especially that passing offense. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to sit here. Sutton won't return as much value, but there is a world where I see Sutton and Judy being both top 24 wide receivers this season.
Oh, I love
100%.
it.
100%.
Slapping babies, kissing ladies. That's a fantastic hot take, Connor. So hot.
100%.
Love it. I got another question, actually. I'm going all over the map. Fuck this shit. I'm tired. I'm going all over the map. So
we want ambiguous situations.
It's a very ambiguous situation. It's Aaron Jones. It's AJ Dillon. What's happening week 1? They're playing Minnesota. I have a lineup where I have AJ Jones or Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. AJ Jones. Can I put? Yeah, because I want to know. Is it crazy? Can I play both of them? Or can I only play one? And if so, which one am I playing? How do you think this backfield plays out? Fantasy Twitter, if I was listening to them, they've anointed Quadzilla already. Aaron Jones is out of the building. Dead cap, 20 million. They don't care. They're eating it. I don't think so. I think you're seeing him this year fantastically beat away another committee, as he's already done to Dylan, Paul Williams, and whoever else has been there. Remember there was 3 of them at one point? They were like Demolition back in the 80s. Remember that tag team? Axe, Smash, and Crush?
Yes,
that was like,
yes.
Anyway, he just keeps beating away committees. Much like, never mind. Anyway, that was somebody else.
Aaron Jones, to me, though, okay. So
listen, can I play both of them week 1 versus Minnesota?
I think so. I think you have to feel out what is going on. And if
in
you
my
had
roster,
no better
2 to 6 running backs, I can put Aaron Jones. Let's go over the roster right now, real quick for you.
Give me the running backs, or who you would consider as a flex option, because you need to give me
you
the
got to
running
start
backs
at least 2 of them, right? You got to start at least 2. So, and I got to start at least 3 wide receivers. So the wide receivers that I'm definitely starting are Tyreek Hill. I hate to do it because he's a Thursday nighter. Gabe Davis. So, like, I'm putting my money where my mouth is with him. Hoping he goes gag busters. Unless I can get a trade off before tomorrow, he's going in this lineup. Allen Robinson, as we were talking about, best quarterback he's ever played with.
Locked in on Thursday night.
Yeah, I know. Because I don't really have any better options and then
if you're sitting there and you're telling me you have no better options at the wide receiver position, but if you're telling me that, then yes, you're probably starting AJ Dillon in a flex spot.
Well, no, okay. If it's an AJ Dillon or is it Kareem Hunt?
It's Kareem Hunt. They've shown to
you're already knocking AJ Dillon out right there. I could put Kareem Hunt in instead. Is it AJ Dillon or Aaron Jones? Let's go with that. AJ Dillon or Aaron Jones. Let's go back to the original question.
I'm going Aaron Jones, but I've stood on the Aaron Jones.
So Aaron Jones, and then my flex spot, AJ Dillon or Kareem Hunt.
Last season, I'm looking at it right now.
No, I'm asking fucking week 1.
But I'm looking last season at AJ Dillon. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top 24 finishes, and he played in every single game.
Okay, ready? Here, I'm going to name the other running backs I can put in.
7 top 24 finishes in 17 games.
Listen,
Jim.
I'll name every single running back I could put in besides AJ Dillon. I can put in Kenny Walker. I can put in James Robinson. Sneaky play,
Can't
by
do-
the way. I can't
Sneaky
trust
play,
him.
but can't do week 1.
I can put in Kareem Hunt or Kenny Gainwell.
Definitely Kareem Hunt.
All right. So that answers my ambiguity. So Connor thinks there's no ambiguous backfield there in Green Bay. He says it's Aaron Jones all the way. He's slapping babies, kicking other opponents out the way. AJ Dillon, Quadzilla, get out of here like Mothra. Godzilla kicked out Mothra. And
So
you're getting kicked out.
listen, so Kareem Hunt, he missed 9 games last season.
Listen,
with,
I love
with
Hunt.
variant injuries. He had the calf strain, he had the ankle sprain. So he ended up only playing in 8 games. He had 1, 2, 3, 4 top 24 finishes. One was
How many
25th.
top 12s? How many top 12s?
Only one. One at 2 and one at 13. But the fact that you're sitting there with in 8 games and he had 4 top 24 finishes, and in 17 games, AJ Dillon had.
You should lead in with like how many games he had top 15, because like I bet you it's more than. I bet you it's a good number, because like that 13 sounds sexy.
He has
It's
one,
right out
2.
there.
He has three top 15 finishes,
9
and
games?
one of them was 16. So 3 plus there's a 4th where you'd play him. That's a playable game. So half of his games he was top 15.
I like it.
And then when he returned from the injury week 12 and week 14, it was garbage. But obviously, look, he had 37% snap share and 19% snap share. What are you going to do? Like, and he's coming back from that. Was
We're
when he
not
was
relying on it after injury, guys, man. But
yeah, no,
I'm asking you for
sprain.
week 1. So you're saying Aaron Jones, fuck AJ Dillon, putting Kareem the Dream Hunt, and just cruise on to a week 1 victory.
You're making it look worse than it is. I'm not saying fuck AJ Dillon. What I'm saying about AJ Dillon is this backfield is going to be split somewhere between 50-50 and 60-40. And I just obviously AJ Dillon has already taken the rush attempts. He's already stealing that from Aaron Jones. But where is the value in the rusher in a 50-50 offense when you could get the PPR guy in the 50-50 offense?
What about standard league for the people that play? Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, who you slapping pickles with?
Aaron Jones has regressed, but even if he regresses a bit, his regression is he's gone from per game 3 to 4 to 11. Last season, AJ Dillon per game was 29th.
Oh,
the regression
Aaron
is not
Jones.
that huge. I can't do
King
it.
of the mountain
not that
until
huge.
he isn't. I like it.
Just can't. One more year. Give me one more year.
I agree
Aaron
with you,
Jones,
man. I think he's slapping pickles this year. I think they're not eating any dead cap. There's no out next year. Whatever.
Listen, and
the pass catching back in an offense without Devontae Adams screams value to me if you're going to let him like slip a little bit. No, anyway.
Especially when this guy like Aaron Rodgers is calling for the most veteran wide receivers on the roster to be on his starting roster, and these are the same. But also these are the same guys like Randall Cobb, who you couldn't trust. Alan Lazard, who people want to be able to trust, but don't know if they can trust, even though apparently Rodgers wore an Alan Lazard shirt or whatever.
Make Green Bay great again. Wasn't it something like that?
Make Lazard. No, it was make
Lazard and Rodgers.
Lazard,
make Green Bay
something
great?
like that. Yeah, something like that. But
it was Rodgers and Lazard 2022. Make Green Bay great.
But the Packers running backs last season ranked 10th in fantasy points per game combined.
10th.
You can probably trust having both of them. It's just a very ambiguous situation. I don't think it's any better than 50-50.
It's very ambiguous. That's
50-50, 50-50, 45.
I'll put my money on them out there. Mouth on the money. Whatever that's.
All right, so let's move into Kansas City.
All right. We danced around her.
Apparently, Patrick Mahomes is basically calling it, it's a committee. It's likely going to be a committee. In my eyes, it's not as committee as it looks, because I think the most honest and trustful wide receiver he has there. Well, stop it. The most honest and trustful wide receiver he has there is Juju. The guy
is
you
the
can
guy that'll
trust
score
to
as
throw
wide
the
receiver
ball.
8.
Yeah, no, listen.
Travis
okay,
Kelce.
Travis Kelce. We're talking about the wide receiver position, not the tight end position. Yes, if you have the opportunity to get Travis Kelce and have him on your roster, 100%. You stop. These people are
TK
saying,
or
"Oh,
bust."
don't draft him in round 2. Don't draft him in round 3." That's not the guy to have. The guy's gonna finish as a top 12 wide receiver. Okay, Jim. I don't deny it. He's going to finish it. But we want
Probably
to
two.
talk for the people about the ambiguous situation at the wide receiver position.
Oh, I heard it's Sky Moore. Is it Sky Moore?
Sky Moore is apparently not even on the depth chart as a starter.
Oh,
So-
no. I got this. It's Justin Watson. Is it Justin Watson?
Definitely not Justin
Oh,
Watson.
no. I got it. It's the guy who they drafted 4 years ago for this exact situation, but he was supposed to be suspended. Same deal. He wasn't supposed to be there. It's Mecole Hardman.
That was not me, Cole Hardman.
Oh,
Listen, to
I
me,
figured we were going to finally use him on his rookie deal since, we got rid of DK Metcalf, we passed on him to take Mecole Hardman because
could you
Tyreek Hill was gonna
imagine
be suspended. Remember
Tyreek? Could you
Hill?
imagine Tyreek
remember he
Hill
was
and
gonna be
DK
suspended?
Metcalf? That would have been just
I could
insane.
imagine. I was imagining. I was pounding the table as they drafted a punt returner from
The
Georgia
true
Southern.
wide receiver one who you can trust the most here is Juju.
Oh,
I've been in on Juju. I
it's
have
the
him in a lot of
youngest wide
leagues.
receiver in NFL history.
Yeah, he never ages, man. He's like
He's like-
25 years old and he's been in the league for 5 years. Like he's never ages. But to me, he's the guy okay, I understand what
17 when he joined the league.
I understand what Patrick Mahomes was saying. And that could also play into the fact that he doesn't want anybody to know who he's going to throw the ball to or who he's going to target. He's just trying to deploy people into not defensive coordinators into not knowing. But to me, it's Juju, man.
Here's the deal. Patrick Mahomes has already shown that he can sustain the number 1 tight end and a number 1 or very top viable wide receiver. He's also shown when one of those guys are out, he can fucking yo-yo it around to a Sammy Watkins week, to a Byron Pringle week, to a Denard Robinson week. He can definitely make it cook, man. He can definitely make it cook. The underlying fact is it's going to be Kelce. You might see some yo-yo weeks. If he hones in on a guy that's very consistent, and I totally agree with you. I don't see why it wouldn't be Juju Smith-Schuster. The guy came in the league at fucking 19 years old.
Look at all the camp videos.
Dominated.
People were hyping those camp videos. Like, look at him targeting Juju. Look at Juju making the catches. And those same people are now talking about, but what about Mecole? But what about Sky Moore, who's not even on the starting depth chart?
Well, man, listen, man. Remember that time when Tyreek Hill was going to be suspended 8 games? So we drafted Mecole Hardman and passed on DK Metcalf because that was going to happen.
Listen, the way I see it is the people are just so out on Juju, and this is probably his best
How
opportunity.
many Super Bowls do you think we would have won with DK?
It doesn't matter.
You're right. It doesn't matter because it's all whatever Ratters says. What Goodell says.
My thing is Juju. I get it. Everybody was sitting there and they're like, "Oh, this guy's a number 2," but he isn't. He's going to be the number 2 behind Travis Kelce. He doesn't have to be the number 1 wide receiver, like people are saying, because he's going to be the number 2 to Travis Kelce, and we know
That's right.
that.
He is.
So at the end of the day, to me, Juju's the guy to own. I get it. Sky Moore's the guy maybe to own in the future, but the fact that most of these rookie wide receivers are not coming into starting situations, that's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people, because maybe it was true about this draft in general. It wasn't one to buy into.
No, it was one to sell out of.
It was one to sell out of and get into 2023. But a lot of people were saying, oh, now you're just hyping the 2023 class out of control.
Yeah,
go back to week 1.
That's what we've been doing since 92, baby.
But look
what we do.
Look at the people who know better than us. Look at the people who actually scout and do this stuff. Those are the people you trust.
And those,
well, whatever. I don't consider myself this amazing scout.
This was the podcast that said the year that Justin Jefferson was a rookie, to pass on Judy and take Justin Jefferson a few picks later in your love in life because now Judy's going down at 29.
It's true. It's true.
Where's
But
Justin
like,
Jefferson getting drafted?
oh,
not even in the
one
same
or two. It
stratosphere.
depends.
Yeah,
Jamar
that's right,
Chase.
just saying.
It's up for debate, but
We sure can give you
Steven,
some.
yes, we can. Give us your flex options for week 1 as we
I'm
continue
rambling.
as we roll on to talk about.
Hey, I got a little bit of ambiguity, but it's not on the sheet. I want to know what your thoughts on the San Francisco 49ers and their wide receiver room. Who's going to be the true number one wide receiver there, since we're talking about ambiguity behind the tight end, because we know it's going to be Kittle-driven offense. And then what? Is it going to be Brandon Ayuk that we saw as a rookie when Debo was out? Is it going to be Debo that we saw last year just bombing people out of the way and Deboing it up like nobody's business, taking bikes like it's nobody's business on Friday? But anyway, what is your thoughts on that?
I need to see Debo Samuel and how much yardage he produced on the ground, because I'm really curious about that. 1 minute. Pulling it up. Rushing. 365 yards. So he had 365 yards rushing. 8 of his 14 touchdowns, over half of his touchdowns came rushing. And then he had 1,400 yards receiving, 6 of his touchdowns through the air. If he says he wants nothing or a very limited part of rushing and 8 of his touchdowns came on the ground, that is calling for a absolute massive regression on Debo Samuel's front. And he ranked number 2 among all wide receivers in touchdowns. Let's say he keeps a couple of those touchdowns on the ground. He keeps the receiving similarly. You're looking at a guy who's 8 or 9 touchdowns instead of 14 touchdowns. You're losing quite a bit there. But at the end of the day, the reports at a camp is that Trey Lance likes Brandon Ayuk and is in on Brandon Ayuk. So, and this is like a great value on Brandon Ayuk because Debo Samuel is going wide receiver 7. Brandon Ayuk is going scrolling down. Wide
scrolling,
receiver
buddy.
42.
Oh, that's even worse than I thought. I was going to say like 38.
Take 100% Brandon Ayuk. I think that if you're sitting there
He's
and
nasty,
everybody's saying
he's got a
Trey
sexy
Lance
wingspan.
Trey Lance is going to have a big season, then yes, if Trey Lance is going to have a big season and his favorite target through camp's been Brandon Ayuk, likely the biggest beneficiary of everything is going to be Brandon Ayuk. I would go Brandon Ayuk on this front.
All right, so listen, Steven's asking. He wants his advice, and he gives us his thanks and advice. Flex spot, full PPR. Michael Thomas coming back, asking if he's 2019. He's still looking for hopes. Davey Davis that we've already been talking about. I'm putting my money where my mouth is on Thursday night. Gabe Davis and Elijah. I don't even know if I'm the starting running back. Mitchell. I'm just kidding about that. He was actually thinking Mitchell's a safe play, but now he's starting to get convinced that Davis is pretty safe with the more upside and thinks it's way too early to even think about Michael Thomas. While I agree with him, and I think it's too early to think about Michael Thomas, I actually want to see a game and play.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of lean Gabe Davis only because I know, I guess, more. I don't really believe in Shanahan and like now this Ty Davis Pierce or what was that other undrafted guy that everyone's hyping?
Terry and Davis Price.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And then he's still got Jeff Wilson there. Like he's still got guys that he's liked in the past. And Elijah Mitchell struggled with some injuries in the offseason. Struggle with that soft tissue.
And that sucks for me because I hate playing Thursday night guys.
I hate playing Thursday night guys, but this is going to be a high scoring affair.
Unless
so
it's like,
if there's anybody,
I'll roll Diggs all day, every day.
But if there's anybody you can trust in a high scoring situation, I feel like Gabe Davis is one to trust as a flex play, but you can't play him as a flex. You play him as a wide receiver. Remember that. You play him as a wide receiver because you don't waste your flex spots on Thursday night matchups.
That is going to be the next thing that I'm going to say. So it's all going to depend on who you're going to put in there, because if it is Gabe Davis, you are going to flex him into your wide receiver. And who would be your other wide receivers that you have in your starting lineup spots? Because then it becomes a point on who are your wide receivers and Elijah Mitchell.
Who I'd
I
imagine
just don't know.
still
I
your
just don't know
wide
if I
receivers.
would trust Elijah Mitchell. Like San Francisco
I'm
versus
not.
Chicago,
I'm
it's
not.
got one of the lowest over-unders of the week. Like it's such
They're
an
a nasty run
ugly
defense.
matchup. It's putrid. But I mean, well,
Yeah,
he
we're going
potentially
Davis.
types
We're
out
going
his
Davis.
wide receivers for us. We are
We're going
sticking with
Gabe.
Gabe Davis right now. But what about the Baltimore Ravens? The running back room is not looking pretty. It looks like Dobbins, based on Lamar Jackson's comments, it's not going to happen. He's not going to be in there very early. Could be a couple weeks. Then you just have a mess. We haven't heard much about Gus Edwards in a long time. Like
Bus is broken out.
but the bus is broken down majorly. Side of the road, lost. What are your thoughts? Mike Evans and Mike Williams.
No. You're going Mike Evans, Mike Williams, and Gabe Davis, but you're putting Gabe Davis in. You're starting whoever plays the latest game as your flex spot. Whether it be
Definitely.
Mike
Agreed.
Williams or Mike Evans.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, Gus. I actually wanted to ask you about this because like week 1 is so weak in Baltimore. Like, is it Kenyon Drake's time to shine and maybe not let go of that ball and run with it? Because I mean, if he can carve out a roll, who knows, man? Like, I know you laugh. Maybe it's not he's going to carve out a roll. Maybe Connor's got him carving potatoes. I don't know.
It's Baltimore versus the Jets.
Benny and the Jets.
I think that's going to be a really good matchup for whoever the running back is. But the issue becomes who's the running back going to be?
That's what I want to see. I want to see how they're going to use their running backs, but does it even really matter until they get until they get J.K. Dobbins back? But I don't know.
Good sell window for Kenyon Drake.
I think Kenyon Drake sucks.
He does, but like if he gets an opportunity, he gets a good matchup there and does
terrible.
Mike Davis, J.K. Dobbins, Mike Davis, Kenyon Drake. Oh my gosh, what a putrid room.
So it's Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. We think this is pumping a Bateman? All right.
100% Rashad Bateman. Listen, the report is out that Isaiah Likely is likely, no pun intended, the third receiving option there. So why would we be buying into Duvernay or James Prochet, one of a gymnastics special?
I love James Prochet on the stash, man. He's gonna eat.
But at the end of the day,
he's fucking eating.
He's not eating. Like,
oh.
and to anyone who's got Isaiah Likely, now's a great opportunity to sell high because if people are actually buying into the third receiving option in Baltimore, who had their highest receiving season last year and want to move back from that to the Russian persona that they were when they had healthy Lamar Jackson a year prior or the 2 years prior where he won his MVP season. Like, you don't want Isaiah Likely. You don't want the third receiving weapon in Baltimore. What, are you kidding me?
No, I don't think you do. So let's go through it real quick. Are you interested in anything that the Browns are doing?
In the Browns?
Yeah, like who's a wide receiver 2?
No, Donovan Peoples-Jones, whatever. You're going to go week in, week out. It all depends. Like, he's going to boom or bust, but are you going to trust him?
Do you trust the Falcons with Tyler Algier?
No.
You
if you get a good week or two, you sell that.
Do you like Antonio Gibson in Washington?
No, you have a golden opportunity in these first 4 weeks that is guaranteed Brian Robinson out. You take 100% advantage. If you get 2 or 3 really good weeks out of Antonio Gibson, you sell.
I like it. And what are we thinking about Kadarius Toney and the New York Giants?
I love Kadarius Toney. What is it? The only other guy I really wanted to buy in that wide receiver room because he was dirt cheap was Kenny Golladay, and every report is pretty much Kenny Golladay doesn't want anything to do with the Giants, and the Giants want nothing to do with him, but his contract is so damn rich that they can't do anything about it. So really...
Funny.
And what, Sterling Shepard? Oh, cool. Darius Slayton, who just took a pay cut because that was the only way he could stay on roster and probably be on any roster in the NFL without going to the practice squad. Like,
all right, let me give you one last one right before we go.
oh, hold up. I wrote an article a while ago talking about hog rate for Player Profiler, and one of the guys I said as a breakout guy to look at was Kadarius Toney. So,
all right,
based on hog rate, because he was targeted a ton when he was running routes.
One last one. The Texans. Who are you buying into? Are you buying into Brandon Cooks at all with that incredible run with Davis Mills? Are you buying into Dameon Pierce? Are you selling Dameon Pierce? Are you buying into Nico? My God, everybody forgot about me. Collins. What's happening? You taking any part of that roster? You looking at? You even looking forward to that game? Do you even know who the fuck they're playing week 1? It's a division game, so you only got 3 options.
Matchups in front of me. It's Indy. I know that they're playing Indy. They're 7-point dogs. Like there's a chance they're getting beat here, but they're definitely getting beat. They're definitely. I like Nico Collins. I think again, there's a chance that Brandon Cooks gets dealt at the deadline. Dameon Pierce. If you were not able to deal him and get a really premium pay out of it, the minute he starts playing that job as the lead back, getting those 15 to 20 touches a game, getting a couple targets a game, and getting those opportunities, you gotta sell, man. There's no way Dameon Pierce remains the number 1 RB in that offense. There's no way.
For a whole season? You don't think he remains the guy for the season? I mean,
maybe for a full season, you definitely sell it to a contender as he's going to be there for the full season.
Listen, I'm not buying it.
I love Dameon Pierce in the draft process. I wanted him to land in Philadelphia, but I wanted him to land in Philadelphia because I think he could take on the Jordan Howard role. I think he could take the early down, push the pile role, the short yardage work, maybe the red zone, end zone work. But to me, that's not somebody you definitely want to be bought into.
All right, actually, keeping it under an hour, I can ask you this question real quick. Trey Sermon, one man's trash. Is he your gold?
No.
Gold. He is
Shane Steichen is standing with Miles Sanders. So as long as Miles Sanders is healthy, Miles Sanders is going to get a lot of work. Kenneth Gainwell is going to get a lot of the secondary work. Trey Sermon may get some work great for real life football, terrible for fantasy.
Are Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell the Zellers version of Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard?
Or Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt?
Oh, shit.
Maybe Zellers is generous. I'm thinking.
What do you mean? They're coming back. They're not even a fucking store yet.
I'm thinking dollar store version, maybe.
Zellers isn't even a store right now, bro. They're fucking not even around.
They're trying to come back. The dollar store's there, and it's dirt cheap. When Zellers comes back, you ain't getting shit there for $3 except the chocolate bar.
They used to have that little cafeteria where you get those fries. Oh, they had some good fries.
Good times. I hope
think that's where Costco probably got their whole theory on $1.50 hot dogs to the pop. Zellers right there. I'm telling you. They had it on lock. 1986, 4 years old.
What about you? I want to keep this under now, but I got a couple for you. Travis Etienne or James Robinson?
James Robinson, baby. He's playing week 1. He's going to be fucking
He's playing week 1, but are we really?
And if he pops, we're selling.
Sell, fly away.
We're selling him. Fuck that shit.
I'm looking.
He's gonna have 2 good runs, and you're selling him. Hopefully, he doesn't get hurt.
I got New England running back room.
Oh, Ramondre. I was so against him last year.
Yeah, and then I sent you that report today. That could be the Alvin Kamara role.
Yeah. Hit the DECK.
Could
you imagine a guy the size of Derrick Henry catching fucking passes and just barreling you over? That's what we want for Derrick Henry.
They tried to trade Damian Harris, or they had an intention.
What do you mean they tried?
They had an intention to trade Damian Harris, but obviously nobody wants him, or they didn't get the value that they wanted out of him. But at the end, Damian Harris likely could be on his way out at some point this season. Ramondre. I was in a draft, and I ended up taking Gainwell when I should have taken Ramondre. Ramondre came back to me, and you guys said I should have taken Zamir White, and I got Zamir White at the next pick. So I'm feeling comfortable about that running
insane.
back
That was an
room,
insane run. How did you like? You can't take games.
and I
over,
was
you should
picking
take
from the
Vermont.
one spot.
Boom.
So
What
I
the
literally
fuck?
sit there and watch 22 other picks, and whoop, and here it comes around. No, it was Ramondre Stevenson is great at the value you got him. I think I saw the ADP landing in like the ballpark of round like 8 through 10. Like, that's crazy. I get it. Can you trust the room? Maybe not, but the room is pretty much either Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson. And the fact that every report is positive for Ramondre Stevenson and there's not a whole lot coming out as a positive for Damian Harris. Give me Ramondre. Give me.
Well, you gotta take Ramondre. What are you, stupid? Like, I mean, you gotta take him. Like, out of the two, you're hearing absolutely nothing for fucking Damian Harris, and you're like, oh,
What
well,
about
that's the
Vegas?
guy.
What about Vegas?
Oh, okay. So this
Amir
is
Abdullah and Zamir White and Josh Jacobs.
It's a Zamir White stash. Listen. You take Zamir, you slap him on that taxi, you just sit there. You don't even care about him. You pick somebody else up, and if he starts popping, beauty.
Last but not
Great.
least, I got one more really quick. Chase Claypool, George Pickens.
Oh my god. Okay, so I'm the minority that thinks Claypool is going to be the slot receiver and just get peppered with more targets than Pickens.
Because he's got a running back body. He's going to destroy people if he's the slot receiver.
No, I just think like because Claypool's the running or the slot receiver, I think he's going to get peppered with more targets than Pickens. I don't think Pickens eats, man. Like, I think Pickens, if anything, is like going up against Deontay. And I don't think you take Deontay's job. I don't know. Like, he's talented, man. Like,
We're talking wide receiver 41 going at pick 106. That's George Pickens and Chase Claypool 126. Wide receiver 49, almost 2 rounds later, Chase Claypool.
no, I'm taking Claypool.
I'm taking Claypool, and in a lot of season long leagues, I have taken Chase Claypool. I've stood to it because I agree with you. Like, I think they serve in similar roles, but everything you see out of Chase Claypool is he's a go up and get it ball guy.
I think Claypool's going to get fucking peppered because they got a terrible line, and he's going to be throwing fast, man. It's going to be Najee and whoever is the closest to the line of scrimmage at any given point. Could be Pat Freiermuth. It could be Chase Claypool. It could be Najee Harris. You might get a very short yardage play out to Deontay quick with the screen. I don't know, man.
And I find Chase Claypool underrated in regards to yards after the catch. He had 270 yards after the catch, which ranks 33rd amongst wide receivers. But think about all the wide receivers that are out there. 33rd among wide receivers is not actually that bad, especially after the catch, where a lot of these highlight reel things from George Pickens, there's nothing after the catch. If this is a guy where you're going to trust to only go up and get it.
As much as I love after the catch, like Evans doesn't give you after the catch.
No. But remember, we've called Evans a unicorn on this show.
I know. He is a uni.
He is a unicorn.
But he doesn't give you any yak. He's a uni, not a yak. That should be a shirt.
And I feel like Chase Claypool is going to have positive regression in the touchdown department. This is a guy who went from 9 touchdowns.
Global fucking t-shirt idea. Didn't you
He
hear
just
that?
went from 9 touchdowns to 2.
Uni's not yaks, man.
This is awesome, Jim. We don't often get the opportunity to just have a fun show of going back and forth because usually, we got some serious business to attend to. And next week 2, we're gonna have some serious business to attend to because we're gonna have some matchups. We're gonna hopefully see some of this ambiguity,
reasonable action to fucking report on. It's gonna be fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
Week 2 ambiguity is what we're gonna have. Sweet.
Love it. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you rate, review the podcast. Make sure you give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you follow Jim at Gold Jacket QBs. Follow myself at Connor10TEN. Follow the True North Fantasy Football Network above Jim's head at True North FFB on Twitter, TNFF Network on YouTube, and TrueNorthFFB.com. Shout out to the sponsors. Underdog always gets the shout out at the start of the show. Veridian Global, they got a brand new shirt courtesy of Jim. Hopefully, they are watching and
Give me
taking
some
notes.
proceeds on that. Don't worry, I'll message Will.
And the Trophy Smack crew, of course. Make sure you check out the Trophy Smack crew. Use the promo code TNFF and get a free championship ring with the purchase of a belt, trophy, whatever you decide to purchase. Maybe a ring and you get a ring, whatever. 2 rings.
I'm gonna have to cut something. You went over an hour.
Ah, son of a bitch. Anyways, we are returning to Tuesdays, so make sure you check us out because we will see you all next Tuesday.
This is a beginning point. This is the beginning of the rest of my life.